Welcome everyone to this Age of Empires forecasted game, and today spawning in the south corner of the map we have got Kiljardi playing in blue as the Mongols, and he's going to be going up against 3DB spawning in the northwest in orange as the English. Welcome ladies and gentlemen to Highview, and well, this is going to be a return of 3DB. We haven't seen him on the channel for a while, and that's because, well, we haven't seen him in Age of Empires 4 for a while. He just hasn't been playing the game, at least as far as we know, not on this account, but now we have got the pleasure of watching 3DB playing again. Now, I know he's often actually hailed as one of the fan favourites in Age of Empires 4, primarily because of his playstyle and because of his aggressive nature. Now, the English civilization is one of those civilizations which can be very adaptable in terms of the strategies they go for. And let's talk about strategy. So we've got the English versus the Mongols. We talked about aggression and how 3DB relishes that, but if there's one civilization that does aggression better than any other, it's got to be the Mongols. The Mongols, they can open up with their stable, as we can see right now. I'm going to be getting for early horsemen. What's actually peculiar, well, not peculiar, but something interesting, something characteristic, I say, about 3DB, is the way he plays out onto the mid-map in terms of getting the deer packs. It's actually something that I ended up kind of using this as well. It's actually really powerful. Against many civilizations, you can get away with this as the English, because of course the English villagers actually fire their short bows, so they can attack pretty effectively. But the thing is, if there's one civilization that's a little bit problematic to do it against, it is the Mongols. And the reason for that is because of the early horsemen, which are two of them about to pop out, so they can actually punish this. And I wonder whether Kiljardi is actually analysing, a lot of the players at the top level, they know each other in terms of how they play style. Like, they play each other so often that they know how to kind of what to expect in many cases. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Kiljardi knows about this, well, he scouted it anyway, as you can see with his command. So he knows this is happening. He's going to keep the information there so that the early horsemen can harass that. And that's going to be a little bit of an early advantage for Kiljardi. It's a bit questionable because, I think overall it's actually a really good play by Kiljardi. He's going to delete that, and he notices it's going to happen. He spots it out with the scout 3DB, and he just deletes that. He knows what's coming, and unfortunately for him, he did invest in survival techniques, so that's going to set his feudal age time back a little bit. It'd be interesting to see whether it really paid off, even then, because there's a decent amount of food that was gathered there. But when you factor in the walking time, survival techniques, which is actually not really going to be used that much right now in terms of, adding effect to the economy. In any cases, going up to the next stage, a very decent time. Going to build it with 5 villagers on that council hall. Oh, we didn't delete that mining camp 3DB, so now he does run the risk of giving away some raiding bounty for this. He might just try and repair that with a villager. He does, yeah. So this is really nice play. It's actually rangeable. It's within the town centre, so it's got to be careful, Kiljardi, not to lose too much HP on these early horsemen. I want to upgrade them to horsemen. The range on that town centre is a little bit crazy. It's something you don't really want to get too close to. It's going to be the silver tree, the landmark for the Mongols. Now, the Mongols in many ways are, I believe, are one of the strongest civilizations. Don't at me. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about the Mongols at the moment. I think they're actually very, very strong, and it all comes down to the fact that they get the Keshik. This is a really strong unit because prior to this, they used to be one of the strongest feudal age civilizations. And then when you add on this Keshik, it makes it even stronger in terms of boosting their cavalry capabilities. And the reason why it's so strong is because against many civilizations, the English in particular, trade is something they can establish. They can get the early aggression in the feudal age with a map presence. He's already got map presence with the early horsemen. Keep his opponent at home, at bay, and then enable the trade. The good thing for the English, though, is that they're no slouches in the feudal age. Whilst they do often, if you go for a second town centre, for example, will mean that you give up quite a bit of map positioning, map control, allows that trade to establish. But the benefit for the English is they can be adaptable. We talked about at the beginning of the cast how their strategies can change, and they can go for a very heavy feudal age. And it looks like that's what 3DB is going to do. It's not going to go for a second town centre. You can clearly establish that by now. He's going to drop a barracks, and it is indeed going to be a heavy feudal age. He's going to go for spearmen and longbowmen. The spearmen obviously established counter unit for the cavalry that will be on play there from the stable. And so really for 3DB in the situation on Highview, is going to need to find a way to deny trade, because that's something that the Mongols will want to try and establish. He's got his silver tree already up and built into that feudal age, so he's going to want to move that silver tree around the map and to the corner to establish trade. Now the natural position for it would be here on the bottom right, or the east corner really. That would allow trade to this neutral market in the south, And that will be a nice trade route to try and protect that he'll be able to get done with the cheaper outposts that the Mongols have. He's going to be going for the double broad axe upgrade, which will be certainly a useful upgrade for him. And this matchup now is actually going to be pretty interesting because, well, Kiljardi knows that his opponent has gone for a barracks, and so inevitably spearmen are going to come out. And one way that you can establish a bit of a dominance in this way is by essentially dictating the game. So he's going to dictate the game in the sense that he's got a stable, forced his opponent into barracks. He's going to force him into spearman units. The question is, how many spearman units is he going to make? And this does leave an opportunity for Kiljardi just to really invest in archers. You see he's double producing already. Match fire with fire. And obviously the spearmen that 3DB is going to get, they're going to be nothing more than meat shield at that point. If Kiljardi doesn't invest too many into cavalry. Obviously there comes a timing in the game, you know, sort of 10-12 minutes where you do need to start adding cavalry because you want to have that like kind of army composition that you want together. So it's going to be archers and cavalry together, probably Keshiks for the Mongols, and there's going to be spearmen, archers, spearmen, longbowmen for the English. Now bear in mind as well that the English do have another unit in the fuselage up their arms, their sleeves rather. Yeah, I was going to say in their armory, but it's the Vanguard man-at-arms, and they can upgrade it to early man-at-arms, which they, you know, inevitably will do in the fuselage. And the reason why it's so strong is because, well, if we think about this matchup and the way it may play out, well, Mongols opened up with a stable. It forced a barracks out of the English for the spearmen to counteract cavalry units. And then that kind of forces the Mongols to think, well, we could just double down on archers and make those spearmen a little bit useless and kind of bait them, not really produce too many stable units. But then the English can start getting man-at-arms. And the man-at-arms will absolutely be shredding those archers if they can get close and if they're in large numbers. The good thing about the archers is they can kite them, which is what I mean by that if you're not kind of usually playing the game. Kiting is where you essentially attack at the largest, most range that a unit has. So for example, the longbowman might actually hit a horseman. With the horseman charging in, the longbowman wants to use its range because it's a ranged unit. So it will hit, move back, hit, move back, hit, move back. And it will just constantly try and delay the cavalry reaching them and try and get as many shots off as they can before the cavalry actually hit them. And that's what we talk about kiting. And that's something that the archers can do very well against the man-at-arms. But the trouble is the man-at-arms have got such high pierce armor that they barely get tickled by archers, especially castle age man-at-arms, but the feudal age man-at-arms do a decent job, especially when they have the iron undermesh upgrade, which is the adding the damage for the ranged armor damage. Well, it increases ranged armor, so it can take more damage against obviously ranged units. There's going to be a second town center play here by the Mongols, and it's an interesting approach. So the Mongols, we talked about the adaptability of the English, and I think the Mongols in many ways are very adaptable as well, and they can... This really highlights the importance of scouting in Age of Empires 4, especially in these two civilizations, because they can be pretty decent in many different ways, and it's going to be two town center play. Kiljardi, I don't think he's going to invest too much into trade just yet, because the one other thing is that scouting gives you intel, but the landmarks also really telegraph the strategies. So I can expect 3DB to, like, he knows about the silver tree, right? So he knows about possible trade, and that's going to force him to be aggressive because he won't want to let trade get kind of online. And villagers coming out to the deer pack again, going to take what was there remaining. But relatively passive opening for the English, interestingly enough, for 3DB. Might be looking to get a timing attack. What I mean by timing attack is to develop a large enough army to push together. One thing to bear in mind if you play the English or play against the English, or you just like watching the English in Age of Empires 4, is that things can snowball quite drastically because of the lack of mobility of these units, the spearmen and archers, or spearmen and longbowmen, I should say. It means that if you're caught out of position, it's very hard to retreat, because the issue is that obviously you can do the kiting method that we talked about trying to retreat and shoot, but if it becomes overwhelming, the cavalry will get on top of these units. So say these units were kind of in no man's land around about here, and the Mongols had a whole bunch of cavalry, they'll pounce on that and there's no way for him to retreat. So it means that in that fight, one person is going to win and one person is going to lose that fight in particular, and that's what we mean about it being snowballing, because obviously for the English, you lose that fight, well, you've just lost your main army, and it's very difficult to replenish those units. So it looks like 3DB going to build up an army first and then try and push on as time goes on, because the thing about the Mongols in the feudal age is they can be hugely aggressive. The fact that they can double produce using the Uvu double produce the units, it means that they can have a lot of units very quickly. It's not so much the case in this scenario, in this game, because of the fact that Kiljardi went for a second town center. But it's something that I think 3DB now is just about to spot. I think he sees it now. I'm not sure if he saw it earlier. In fact, I don't think he even sees it yet. Which is a bit unfortunate for him. And it's partly because of the forest. He just can't see through it. No traders out just yet. Now, we talked about how the landmark can telegraph the strategy. It can also be a nice way to bait your opponent because, look, I mean, Kiljardi hasn't even made a single trader yet. But we do see a Keshet coming out on the map now. Alright, looks like it's rolling time. 3DB heading forward. I'll be expecting to see a couple of villagers heading forward as well. Maybe just one or two, really. I say a couple, but just to get an outpost as a staging ground, because, of course, the English have that benefit of the network of castles bonus, which adds on, I believe it's 15% attack speed. I'll just switch to his point of view. There we are. It's actually 20%. Okay, yeah, it's 20%. Pretty strong. It might be the Tower of Victory from the Delhi Sultanate gives 15, and the Meta from the Ottomans give 15, maybe, I think. In any case, 20% is pretty strong on attack speed. And this is where 3DB wants to establish himself. Going to look to attack and put pressure on the 2 gold veins, which is actually really key. 2 gold veins like this in close proximity does make it difficult for Kiljardi, especially because he wants to get those Keshiks out, right? So he might have to rely on horsemen instead. In terms of other sources of gold, there is quite a few other sources of gold on highview, to be fair. There's one here. And because of the stealth forest, it's very difficult to keep this scouted and seen. In fact, he's actually going to go way out there on the west side with an outpost. I suspect he'll send about 4 or 5 villagers. Because that's the maximum you can get in an outpost, 5 villagers. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because this outpost going up, but the concern is he's got an outpost to contend with here. And that outpost is going to survive a bit longer. It's had a couple of seconds head start on fighting. And here come the man-at-arms. Oh, spearmen, rather. Take it back. They look a bit like man-at-arms, but they're indeed spearmen. There are a couple of man-at-arms there. Yeah, they are. They are the early man-at-arms. Here comes initial engagement. I think the trouble for Kiljardi is he wants to get a wrap around, but 3DB is staying behind his outpost that's giving him the bonus 20% attack. But then we do see the Hardened Khan use the attack speed arrow, which actually increases the attack speed of the ranged units by 50%. Only for 5 seconds, but it's pretty nice as packing a punch. You can see how much damage it's done. The Khan does go down, but decent fight here for Kiljardi, especially because he's got the outpost with 5 villagers garrisoned inside. That really makes a big difference. I mean, the man-at-arms are tanking most of that damage, but still a nice bit of added damage per second into that fight. And it's about 10 villager lead here for Kiljardi, courtesy of that second town centre. Holy moly, it looks like it's going to be a proxy base. Villagers coming into the outpost. Needs to keep his position as much as he can. I don't know if Kiljardi sees that blueprint, actually, because if he sees it, he does see the blueprint. He could actually damage this building and destroy it completely, and if he does, well, he knows this is happening. This is a concern for 3DB. Will he be able to defend this position and keep it alive? That's the question. He's going to need more military. The man-at-arms going to push this away for now. I mean, does Kiljardi... He's not kiting. He's not actually shooting at the man-at-arms. He could quite well be. He doesn't have the melee armor, so he doesn't really want to engage that. We do see a triple archery range here for 3DB. Proxy base coming out for the English. A very nice strategy that we don't often see. In fact, I can't remember the last time I've seen this with the English. I've seen it with the Rus recently quite often, which is certainly a sight to behold. But I like this. I like where this game is going. We talked about how 3DB is aggressive. Well, he's not disappointing here, is he? A triple archery range. Coupling that with the council hall back at home and just the 1 barracks. And you can see he's actually starting to add in man-at-arms. And, you know, we called that kind of interplay of the units, the way the matchup was going to go. The one concern, though, for the Mongols is that, well, it's this Keshik unit. It's so strong because, you know, these heavy melee cavalry, they actually do a decent amount of damage against man-at-arms. So, you know, they're strong in melee combat, and obviously man-at-arms are melee units. And so, it's a really weird situation because before the Keshik, the Mongols had to rely on archers, right? They had to rely on archers to get rid of the man-at-arms. But now they've got the Keshik. They've got a really good strong unit that counters the man-at-arms and the longbowmen. So realistic in this situation where it's man-at-arms and longbowmen. Now, Kiljardi, if you wanted to go straight for just pure Keshik, that would do incredibly well, especially if he has the upgrades. The concern for him, obviously, is that he doesn't have that many villages on gold at the moment, only 5. And primarily because of the fact that, well, he's been pushed off of gold. The 2 golds are here. And so, yeah, it's under quite a bit of pressure. One thing I would like to see here for 3DB is to get arrow slits in these outposts. It depends really how much committing he wants to be here. Like, it feels like he wants to stay here for a long time. And if so, actually, sometimes getting just one villager on stone usually can, get you arrow slits pretty quickly. Within about a minute, 10 seconds or so, you can afford the stone for the arrow slits. But obviously, there's a bit of investment in terms of villager gathering time and also, the wood investment in the mining camp. The concern for 3DB is actually got his army out of position. This is something that Kiljardi can pounce on. And there's a lot of wood invested in here. It's like 450 wood in terms of the archery ranges. Add in the outpost cost. It's a little bit of a unfortunate situation for 3DB. Maybe a bit of an oversight. He has to pull away the units. He doesn't have enough to engage in this. And it's all because he's looking to do damage, right? He knows his opponent has 2 TC. And that's what the Mongols are doing in this scenario. It's actually quite effective. Going that second town center, it means that the opponent has to be aggressive. Like, the pressure is on the opponent to be aggressive and do damage. And it's because of the fact that he's got a second town center, because you can't, 3DB cannot let this happen without doing damage. Otherwise the economy will just spiral out of control. And there's the movement speed arrow for the Mongol Khan. Kiljardi, he smells blood, wants to wrap around. We talked about how getting your army out of position means that, they get caught and you lose a massive chunk of the army. And that's exactly what's happening. This army is gone. And it's because of the positioning. Oh, a lot of villagers here on the wood line going to be sniped though. He needs to pull away. Kiljardi's not reacting. Holy moly. Get out of there, dude. Get out of there. He does just about hide in the outposts. The army here though, pretty much all gone. A little bit of it remains. But the good thing is that, it wasn't such a huge fight that it was his whole army that was completely overwhelmed. It was a small battalion, and it does give 3DB a bit of a reminder of that mechanic, of that kind of strategy in Age of Empires 4. That, the snowball mechanic that happens a lot with the English. Keshik's getting involved, but the trouble is that when you develop a large mass of longbowmen, they do a lot of damage, especially with the steeled arrow upgrade, which increases the attack damage of the ranged units. It works on the town centers as well, by the way, so bear that in mind. A couple of Keshiks looking to get some raiding in. No trading, but it looks like 3DB is going to go for that deer pack on the right side. And it looks like the rams are popping out. I think Kiljardi wants to take care of this proxy base, and can't blame him. Thing is, I love what the Mongols have done here. So these 5 or 6 Keshiks that were there has pulled this whole army back, and the reason why they're so significant, like, these guys have already earned their worth, because he could lose these units, and he probably will. But what he's done is he's bought so much time for these villagers to keep gathering more resources. Not only that, he's pulled up the army so he can actually attack the proxy base, which is actually a pretty big threat. It's not to be underestimated. He's going to get some villager picks here as well, which is very, very nice on the gold vein. Great value for these 5 or 6 Keshiks. Has to be said. Great value. Because now the army is all the way back home, and it'll take a long time for them to get back across the map. And I don't think they're going to get there in time to defend this proxy base. Well, there's a decent amount of army here now. Villagers coming out. They're going to be ringing their torches, but that's villager time that they could have been gathering resources. They're not going to be able to now, but the torches popping out. Well, there's something that Kiljardi needs to pay attention to. He's not paying attention to it just yet. He's going to head there now, pull the rounds back. He's going to lose one. Keshiks going to dive in, maybe get hit on a couple of the villagers. Longbowman trying to get a good snipe on the Keshiks. Not enough to 1-shot, not enough to 2-shot. It looks like it's going to be a 3-shot wonder for these longbowmen, but it's not going to be enough. Villagers shooting off as well. Again, this is another bad fight for 3DB, and the army's caught out of position. Finally, the reinforcements from back home are catching up, but you can just see how the 5 or 6 Keshiks back earlier got so much value in terms of keeping the army back at home for 3DB, and now this is a scenario where this could be very dangerous, could be very snowballing, looking to get an outpost for the network of castles bonus. Man-at-arms diving on the front line. You can see how much they are tanking from the archers. I mean, that's a lot of archers, 38 archers, and they can't even one-shot a man-at-arm. That's how tanky they are with the Iron Undermesh upgrade. But the thing is, he's lost his proxy base, so overall I think a net positive, a net benefit for Kiljardi, especially because behind this he's got 2 town centres, constantly producing those villagers. And does have the potential to get some trade. Now, what could be a thought is actually trading to this neutral market in the north. And that's something that 3DB needs to be careful about, because he needs to keep an eye on that, because that could be a situation. Oh, the proxy base stays alive for now. Longbowmen are in large numbers. They actually managed to defend it, looking to get an outpost for network of castles. And it's not all lost here for 3DB. Not in this proxy position. It does not have a denial of this gold vein, though. So that's a nice bit of gold coming in there for Kiljardi. The thing is that, well, holy moly, it's 20 minutes into the game. It's still feudal age aggression. Both players. I love to see these games. 2 barracks coming down. Looks like man-at-arms is going to be on the menu for the English. It might be a bit of a quiet time now, I think, at this point, because he's actually kind of circling around. I think 3DB needs to be careful not to... I don't know, he's had warnings of this before, but he needs to be careful not to give up this position, because he's lost a lot of wood investment in production buildings before. He won't want to do that again, but at the same time, he needs to do damage, and this is where the lack of mobility actually really hurts the English. Right now, before the Rams come out, guys, I hope you guys are enjoying the casted content. If you are, do give the video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel and the algorithm. I'm really looking to hope to grow as a caster in Age of Empires 4. So I appreciate guys your support, and I'm always happy to hear feedback on the casts if you do anything better. I know I forgot it in this game as well to actually put the villager counts at the beginning of the game. I keep forgetting. Sometimes I remember, sometimes I don't. I'll keep trying my best to remember. Here's a good engagement though for Kiljardi. A large number of military units here. Mostly archers. But you can see 70 archers are barely tickling those man-at-arms. The man-at-arms is definitely the play here for 3DB, but he just can't seem to mass them up. The concern for him is the Keshiks as well, but still, just massing up the man-at-arms is going to do a world of good. And so it's pretty useful that he's got two barracks on the front lines. Another group of man-at-arms, 5 of them heading in. The Rams trying to get in that position. Oh, the trade has started. The trade has started here on the north. We talked about how that's a possibility. And that's something that 3DB needs to keep an eye on. I mean, he just won't want to think about that at this stage because he's obviously being so aggressive. But the Keshik, you can see how much Keshiks, how much damage they do to the man-at-arms. It's such a game changer. But the 20% attack speed bonus from the network of castles is certainly strong. Are the Rams going to do it this time? One Ram goes down. I think man-at-arms, it's really the play here for 3DB, rather. I think man-at-arms for the archers. Longbowmen need to focus on the Keshiks if they can. Another push has been denied. This was a great game so far. Let's take a look at what's happening back at home. Farming transition well underway for 3DB. Holy moly, that's a lot of farms. I mean, you can't underestimate how much food is coming in now. Let's take a look at 800 food per minute, but he's adding more farms. That's going to be beastly. The farming transition well underway. Another 3 Rams. I'm losing count now. Is this sort of 9 Rams is built? Trust to try and take out this this proxy base. But the villager lead is almost 20, and I say villager, but you have to add in the traders as well. It's got about 2 traders only, so yeah, it's almost 20 villager lead. It's actually kind of crazy. That's going to pay dividends for him in the long run, that's for sure. But the question is, where is the way back for 3DB? He's committing in the feud ledger, and he kind of has to. I think there comes a time where Kiljardi, if he can keep holding on, keep getting the villager lead, keep building the economy, and as long as he has a really strong standing army, he can consider going to that castle age. And I suspect he will get there before 3DB for sure, unless 3DB tries something crazy, stops producing military. And it's because of the economy. It's so strong. A couple of Keshiks going forward, looking to get some raiding value. I wonder if that forces B to pull up his army, and it kind of is. He's moving his position probably at the worst possible time. Where are those Rams? Oh, he hid them. Love that touch there for Kiljardi. Such a smart play. He hid them behind the forest. There's something that 3DB cannot see. I mean, he does see them now. And I was going to move his army back, but such clever play there by Kiljardi. That was very purposeful. He was building the army, the Rams here, and he moved them into the forest just to make sure they weren't seen. He needs to keep the army close by, though. The north harassing the gold vein again. Now, the good thing for the Mongols is that the reason why I think they're really strong in this scenario is because against civilizations like the English that can pack a punch is they can play a very condensed economy, obviously because the town centres can literally move right next to each other. And not only that, the pastures mean that the sheep can go straight to the town centre, so it's actually very difficult to kill the Mongols in many ways. That's really something you often find yourself saying against the English because of the network of castles bonus, because of the range of the town centres, because you get an attack notification. Those are really strong defensive bonuses for the English, but I think the fact that you can actually move your town centres as the Mongols right next to each other is super strong. Accompany that with the cheaper outposts. The fact that you'd only need gold to add in some arrow slits to them is pretty strong. Here comes the engagement. The Keshik going to try and get a wraparound on the man-at-arms. Does get a decent hit on them. The archers in the back line for both players. Longbowman though for the English, of course. Alright, on we go. I had to take a very quick break there. I've got a bit of a sore throat today. A bit unwell. I don't know if you can actually tell in the raspiness of the voice, but I really wanted to keep up the casted content because I know I'm on a bit of a roll with it, and I felt like this is kind of a game I really wanted to see. And not only that, but I didn't want to miss out the ability to cast it because of the fact that games often disappear very quickly in Age of Empires 4. We've got to snag them while it's hot. Pretty strong push though with the longbowmen. Looks like the creep of the outpost heading forward. Quite a few villages. He wants to make sure that it goes up, of course, and going to get a good surround of the outpost. This is actually pretty huge. That's going to deny these 2 golds. What he doesn't know is that the gold villages here, 5 of them, and also trade. Granted, only 4 traders, but and that gold income continues to come in for Kiljardi at a rate that's actually more than his opponents. So, and bear that in mind that 3DB is technically going for man-at-arms, which is kind of surprising. I mean, how many villages? He's only got 4 villages on gold. I don't know how he's quite funding this man-at-arms. He's got a lot of barracks. Pretty surprising to see. In any case, 3 ramps staying alive for now. 99 military to 78, but I mean, the thing is, the window of opportunity for 3DB is slowly running out because of the fact that 94 villages to 75. That's going to pay a lot of dividends and returns of resources very quickly. And again, this talks about how strong this resources being packed in like this. It's so hard for 3DB to push. Like, how does he push against 2 town centers right next to each other? All the food economies in between that. Food cannot be denied. That's for sure. The only thing that could potentially be denied is wood. Holy smokes, where are these villages coming out to? I was going for the lumber camp. There aren't any villages there though. In any case, push comes in, and yeah, this is an issue. 3DB, he pulled his army away, right? And he wanted to do some damage, but the trouble is, he's the one getting damage done too, because the production buildings are going to go down. That's a lot of investment, guys. The amount of wood has gone into production buildings that are now dying. That is it's a bit of a big ouchie there. I mean, he is doing a bit of damage himself, but not huge amounts. Holy smokes, where are these villages? Okay, they're going to go for wood. Yeah, the wood is an issue. Something that needs to be considered for the Mongols. There is potential to get wood here as well, which I think that's what 3DB was looking to maybe try and deny. Trouble is going to be able to get wood from here now, Kiljardi, and he's got about 48 villages, so he's going to gather a lot of wood. Wood that he can keep in the bank for a rainy day. It's a lot of Keshiks now. Where is all this military? That's what I want to know. A lot of it is half of it is back at home though, which is kind of interesting. Just to bring them all together. I think Kiljardi smells blood. I think Keshiks are very expensive, and they're actually a premium unit out of all the units here so far, I suspect. He's going to head forward with those. Use the mobility. Good effect. They do cost 200 resources. Let's just check how much a man-at-arms cost. It's actually 120, so significantly more. And here's going to try and get some rating value. This is a kind of a problem for 3DB because he can't kind of keep up with this. There's no walls. I think some static defenses could have been an option, but obviously investing the wood into that means that you'll be able to produce less longbowmen. He's trying to do damage, but the trouble is these infantrymen, they're getting slayed by the outpost and the town centers. How does he go in? I'm not sure if he can dive that. Keshik's in the heart of the English base, but the thing is that Kiljardi has got what he needs back at home. He's got the reinforcements, right? He's got defender's advantage. Whilst he raids on the front lines, villages are going down. Has he spotted the trade yet, though? That's a big question. It's not like there's a huge amount of trade, though, to be fair. Only 3 traders. It must have lost 1, though, because he had 4 earlier. Keshik's circling round. And that's one thing about highview. Obviously, the vision is so poor because of the stealth forest. 3DB doesn't see any of this. What he does see, though, is that his proxy base has now been taken apart, and I'll give Kiljardi a little bit of breathing space. I wonder where his OVU is. Is his OVU still functioning? I don't know if he has an OVU. Whether he's had one for a while. Is there one here? I don't know, actually. He's not been gathering stone from the OVU. It's kind of odd. He's not been able to access it, I guess. Yeah. Oh, no, he does. He does. Have it in the south corner. There we are. I thought as much. It would have been very surprising if he didn't. The army just constantly there, kind of dangling away, kind of trying to poke and prod. But I think we're starting to edge to the situation where Kiljardi may actually want to go to the yeah, there we are. There's a Castle H. I was literally about to say it. I didn't spot it come up, but it's the Kurultai, I believe. Mark of choice. The thing is now for 3DB, he has a lot of pressure. He needs to do damage, right? Because these units are going to become veteran. And then it'll be Castle Age versus Feudal Age army. This is it. He's going to try and dive, do as much value as he can. Get as much value. Trying to kill as many villagers. The problem is, what does he do against 2 town center production of villagers? Sure, the villagers might go down, but they're going to pop back up again. It's going to dive right underneath 2 town centers and 2 outposts. Expensive losses here. And it will be the Castle Age for 3DB now. King's Palace. Oh, this is such a bad fight. Like, the positioning of it is horrible. He's fighting with the Mongols army on the front, with behind him 2 town centers and 2 outposts. And these units are going to absolutely melt. These are veteran Keshiks now with the veterancy of the archers aren't in just yet. They will come in soon. Oh, the Keshiks are just doing so much damage against the longbows. These are veteran Keshiks, don't forget. And they are absolutely melting these units. 3DB might be throwing the game as we speak, but the trouble is, well, the English are hard nut to crack as well. He's got the 2nd town centre, so villagers will be able to boost up. I'm a bit surprised by this landmark choice, actually. Pretty surprised, because he's itching on towards sort of 100 villagers. Getting a keep in the form of the Tower of Victory could have been an option. It would have also increased the production capability of Castle Age units, but he's gone for the secondary town centre, as it were. So I guess it means if it is raided, he'll be able to bounce back a little bit. I think now's the time for Kiljardi to be aggressive, because he's got the Keshiks, the veterancy on the Keshiks, veterancy on the archers, and he's got the tech up, basically. That really counts for something. He's gonna head forward with his archers and look to try and raid with his Keshiks. Did he lose his traders? Yeah, he's only got 1 trader left, so I think 3DB might have spotted this. And in any case, here comes the aggression. The 3 rams still alive. We look to take down the production buildings, and this could be the beginning of the end for 3DB. I think he's just going to need a lot of spearmen or longbowmen. Maybe add in a couple of man-at-arms. He's got a couple of man-at-arms already. Yeah, there we are. There's the veterancy, or just the regular man-at-arms, the Castle Age man-at-arms now. They're going to be pretty strong, but he's definitely going to need better spearmen against the Keshiks. The Keshik archer combination is so strong. Really reminds you of the French Royal Knight archer combination. Alright, there we are. He's taking down the buildings on the front, and 3DB is pretty badly pinned at this point. The question is, how does he fight this back? I'm surprised not to see the... I was about to say not to see the Kurultai. It is heading forward now, and it's going to deploy itself in a really strong position. This could be the beginning of the end. He needs to get it on, though. He needs to get this thing online. Army's in the way. It's not ideal. This is super strong as a landmark and a push, because of the fact that this landmark actually increases the damage output and also increases the health for every unit. Actually, yeah, 20% damage. That's absolutely huge when you think about it. And he's getting raiding bounty as well. Just by damaging these buildings, he's getting raiding bounty. He's actually going to get the upgrade as well. Whistling arrows, increasing the Khan's signal arrow by +7 seconds. So with the Khan giving the attack move arrow with the Kurultai, that is going to be very difficult for 3DB to stop. But there is one civilization. If it was one civilization that would probably do it pretty well to stop it, it would be the English. Because of that Nebukov Castles bonus, because of the town centres. The concern is that the farming economy is going to be relatively exposed. Doesn't have enough outposts, I think. A couple more outposts for spring replacements would work well, but the trouble is now the economy for Kiljardi is really coming into play with the resources that came in with that. 92 military with the Kurultai healing up units as well. The Keshik's going to get a wrap around. The archers on the back line. They're just going to garrison inside the town centre. There are a couple of rams. There's still the 1 ram working on that town centre. Keshiks are engaging against the spearmen. The thing is, there's quite a few spearmen here, has to be said. I think the spearmen clear up the Keshiks. This could be a massive lifeline for 3DB if he can get rid of the archers. But as I say that, another group of Keshiks sweep in, and this is looking problematic for 3DB, especially with now the Kiljardi going to the Imperial Age, going to go for the Khaganate Palace. And how do you come back here for 3DB? And there's no way 3DB is going to go to the Imperial Age. Not anytime soon, but he might need it, because the English civilization do get that technology called enclosures, which gives them food, gold for the food sources of the farms. And so it's really strong, because it means that they don't have to play out on the mid-map. They can play a very condensed economy. The trouble is, he just took a massive fight there, 3DB. Lost a lot of his military. Kiljardi's going to head back home, get these units back home and upgraded. Elite Keshiks, elite archers, that's something that 3DB could be facing up against very soon. And going to get the melee attack upgrade, decarbonization. But he's under all sorts of pressure. He's coming back to Age of Empires 4, and I guess it's baptism by fire. What's that outpost going to go there for Kiljardi? I think Kiljardi doesn't get that up in time compared to his opponent, but I'll tell you what, we'll get there in time. It's these veteran Keshiks. And look at this, immediately queues up elite archers, elite Keshiks, and step lancers. Oh, he's going to increase the Keshik healing by 1+ health per attack, and the attack speed by 10%. Such a strong upgrade. Step lancers. I think that will be the difference maker. I think they'll take decent trades even against Castle Age spearmen. Getting the elite upgrades as well. Is it heading in? It might lose the Khan. Should lose the Khan. Oh, we managed to survive for now. Just about. But yeah, villagers go down here, and the trouble for 3DB is he doesn't actually have gold access, I don't think. Well, limited. 2800 gold there, not a lot. And gold here was all taken by Kiljardi, so that nice bit of early aggression in terms of on the map, getting gold. He actually took 3DB's gold. That's actually kind of nice, and it doesn't really look like trade is on the options for 3DB, especially with the mobility of these elite Keshiks now. 66 military to 74, but don't forget their elite status for the Mongols does get gold access here now, which is actually very, very nice. He needs to secure this very, very well, otherwise he'll be in problems. Kiljardi, just hanging out here on the east. Okay, you can see very purposeful gameplay. He's keeping an eye on the gold, right? He wants to deny all the gold that can possibly coming in for the English. He knows that his opponent's not in the Imperial Age, doesn't have access to enclosures just yet. And now here comes the army for Kiljardi. He wants to deny all possible gold. In fact, that's the only gold that 3DB has left, and he doesn't have enough. Could potentially try and go to the Imperial Age, but might be a mistake at this point. There's the whole gold vein gone, and well, what do you do now if you're 3DB? Such a masterclass play here by Kiljardi. 2 town centre opening against the English, weathered the storm, weathered the proxy base, and it's not only storm, it's 3DB storm. Plenty of sting in this storm. Sorry, I just had to. But Keshiks are going to be looking to now take down the production buildings. Don't forget, every building that goes on fire for the Mongols, they get bounty and resources. Keshiks do dive into a bunch of spearmen though. And it is still castle age units, but they're still spearmen. And they're going to wreck those. But on the front lines, this is a huge issue. Where is the Kurultai? That's what I want to know. Kurultai in this position now will be very, very strong. Keshiks trying to raid the wood line, but there's a decent number of spearmen and also longbowmen there to push that away. The trouble is, in the heart of the base, 3DB going to be losing villagers, 96 to 115. There's just always this deficit, almost about 20 deficit at all times almost. And these are elite archers. This is Imperial Age units versus Castle Age units. Is there a way for 3DB? I'm not so sure. The south again, outpost trying to get some map vision is just not happening. And the Keshiks actually pulling away units. I think there's a Mangadai there as well. Oh no, it's just the Khan. It's just the Khan. Archers coming in on the east side, pushing away where the gold vein used to be. And this is a huge army. And they got gold plated armor because they're Imperial Age units. I'm not sure 3DB has an option here. I mean, even the man-at-arms are now starting to melt a little bit with the archers involved. Even though the man-at-arms, but these are Imperial Age units. Okay, well, the man-at-arms have all gone. Now the Keshiks are going to dive in. To be honest, the Keshiks probably could have taken a trade against the man-at-arms anyway. But on the west side, constant raiding comes in. It looks like Kiljardi will get cleared up on the west side, but that's not really where he's focusing on. He's focusing on the middle. Ram's still alive. Decent army numbers here for 3DB still. It just shows you how strong the English are at defending. Managed to keep the numbers alive for now, but how long, that's the question. Here come the longbowmen. They're focusing on the archers first, but a decent number of Keshiks getting good value. Don't forget, the thing about the Keshiks is you have to deal with them. Because every kill that they get, they regenerate health. It's such a pain if you're up against them. You can't afford to let them... it's really interesting how that works in the gameplay dynamic, because when the Keshiks engage against your army, you really want to engage against the Keshiks, because every kill they give gives them a boost. It's so snowbally. Yeah, so strong for the Mongols. Sends a couple of archers on the back farm, so that's going to be problematic. 3DB's not going to be able to farm freely now. It's going to lose a lot of food income. Where's that Kurultai? I'm missing that Kurultai. Might have forgotten about it. In any case, looks like 3DB was trying to get a sneaky bit of gold there. It was spotted by Kiljardi. Now trade is up and running again on the natural trade route. 5 traders already. As we head into the 39th minute, what a cracking game so far. You have to feel like 3DB might be losing his grip a little bit. He does have more military though. Bear that in mind. The trouble is, the military is just not quite up to the standard that Kiljardi has, and also gold is an issue. I think 3DB missed an opportunity to go to the Imperial Age. Well, he didn't really miss an opportunity. He couldn't go to the Imperial Age. It's something that he probably would have wanted so that he can get the enclosures upgrade for the gold on the map, because he doesn't have any map presence, no map control. Because of that, he's really struggling now. Also struggling for wood, actually. Has to be said. Holy moly. Both wood lines on the front, which doesn't help his situation. Keshiks on the front line, archers on the back, right in front of the King's Palace. I don't think there's enough units here for 3DB. I mean, he's got unit numbers, but they're not all in the same place. They're kind of pulled in every direction. And he's up against Imperial Age units. That's the big difference. Kiljardi pretty much at population gap. And the army just keeps dwindling, 3DB trickling them in, but the trouble is this standing army of archers, elite archers for the Mongols. That's going to be very difficult to deal with. Maybe a mangonel or two could work, but it doesn't have a siege workshop, doesn't have the wood income for it really. And if he spends gold on it, well, he's not going to be able to get the Imperial Age. Interestingly enough, 3DB has kept 1,300 gold in the bank, just in case he needs to go to the Imperial Age. It does mean though he can't afford any more crossbows, can't afford any more man-at-arms. He's going to have to go with longbowman and spearmen. Here comes the Kurultai. 3 relics are in play, by the way, for Kiljardi. He's got 3 relics in already, 2 more on the map. And there are still 3 sacred sites, but I don't think it's much of a concern for Kiljardi at the moment. It has access to trade, of course. And now the Keshiks on the front line, I think this could be the end. Ladies and gentlemen, the longbowmen are the last line of defense for the English and 3DB. But with the Kurultai going online, with the archers on the back line, got Kiljardi with the elite archers, with the Keshiks trying to chase this down. This could be the snowball effect. That happens right now. There's the movement speed with the Khan. He's going to wrap around with the Keshiks. This could be the sealing of the deal of this 41-minute game, potentially. We'll have to see. The Keshiks wrapping around. I think this is the last line of defense. And it's got incendiary arrows. These elite archers are so fully upgraded. Looks like it's going to be enough. It should be enough because the Keshiks are tanking so much as well. And there's just nothing that 3DB can do. He spent the gold units, spent the gold on gold units. He doesn't have any more to go to the Imperial Age. You'll have to use the market to do so if he even has an opportunity to do so. But look at the army. 63 military to 30. Man-at-arms dwindling in, but even now the elite archers can do a decent amount of damage with incendiary arrow upgrades. Second wave of army, 67. Kiljardi's just replacing his army as he's losing it. Barely any drop in population. Is also picking up another 2 relics. Kurultai going further forward. And it just feels like now this tech advantage of the Imperial Age is really starting to take its toll on 3DB's army. Kurultai gets deployed. Looks like the King's Palace is the next focus of attack. 3DB staying alive for now, but with 10 traders slowly building up as well, like gold is not going to be an issue for Kiljardi. You can see 1,500 gold per minute coming in, 0 gold per minute coming in for the English. Kurultai trying to go a bit further forward. Oh, it's blocked by his own units. That's a bit of a shame. I'm not sure if he needs it in any case, but still would be nice to have. There's the attack speed. Look at those archers go. Man-at-arms still pretty tanky to be fair, but the Keshiks on the front line has a huge meat shield. Come on. Come on, Kurultai, you can do it. It's really stuck in position now. He needs to go further back with that. But he's not been able to fight with the Kurultai in this position. I think he finally gets deployed. He does now, but I think it's all over anyway. Because how does 3DB stop this? The army's just going to camp here with the Kurultai. This almost looks like an indestructible army, and I think 3DB's got to agree. He's got to tap out. Doesn't look like he's going to get much luck on highview in the return to Age of Empires 4. The Keshiks getting a good wraparound. Longbowmen are melting. Don't forget, it's still Imperial Age versus Castle Age. And with what was a great start to the game with 3DB's proxy base with the English, the Mongols opening 2 town centre, it looks like once and for all, Mongols have overrun on highview, and 3DB's entrance back into Age of Empires 4 is met with huge resistance. The Mongols are looking great. Hope you guys enjoyed this casted game, and hopefully see you on the next video.